rural America with Partner Veterans Clinic at the University of Missouri School of Law. June is LGBTQ Pride Month. Remember, remember. Saturday, June 27th, 2020 is the time and the place. And we are here with on the line with Cliff Kelly, the governor of Talk Radio, and our executive producer, Glenda Smith, digital media producer, Manny Corazari, and the assistant digital media producer, Titus Williams. Saturday's topics today will be including issues with our partners who are going to be calling in. Brett G. Filbert of the Pentagon, U.S. Navy veteran, professor and clinical director at the University of Missouri School of Law. Wow, what a time. Angela K. Drake, president of the National Law School Veterans Clinic Consortium. And the discussion will be centered on National Law School Veterans Clinic Consortium programs and services. Angela K. Drake is also the president of the National Law School Veterans Clinic Consortium. She has been the director of the Veterans Clinic at the University of Missouri School of Law since 2014. She also teaches trial practice and pretrial litigation. She received her undergraduate degree from the College of St. Thomas in St. Paul, Minnesota in 1982, and her law degree from the University of Minnesota School of Law in 1985. And Cliff, I think we have some great people to be talking to today. And again, we'll be talking about these programs and services at the National Law School Veterans Clinic Consortium. Welcome, Brent and Angela.
And let me say before you do that,
yes, sir.
I just want to let you know what a great job you're doing.
Oh.
I'm Cliff. I haven't been in the studio for a couple of weeks because I've been busy, and I will be back next week, I'm sure. Try to take care of some business.
Yes.
But doesn't matter because Doc takes care of it.
No, these shoes are so big to fill. People don't realize how much experience it takes and how much it took for you to bring the show together. And you've done it for decades. You've been serving our community, our souls, our hearts, our minds, and our veterans. So I am so pleased, and I'm waiting for you to come back. I need to have that pizza with you and Glenda and have a little bit of glass of wine.
That's right. We got to do that.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for doing what you're doing. Go right ahead, Doc.
Okay, Brent and Glenn, Angela. Give us a little bit of a background on the, National Law School Veterans Clinic Consortium.
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. This is Brent. I'll just lead in by saying that Angela really is a pioneer in veterans law clinics at law schools, and to be frank, she's also a very good friend of mine, so she was very gracious to join the show today and talk about what the National Law School Veterans Clinic Consortium does and her role, which is very exciting, and it directly relates to rural veterans in a lot of ways as well. So I'll get out of the way for Angela to talk about what the consortium does.
Oh, great.
Great.
Sure. Well, thank you all so much for having me. This is really exciting. And it's always fun to talk about veterans, their issues, and how we can help them. And one way that here at the University of Missouri we've really tried to focus on helping veterans throughout the nation is by getting involved on a national level. And we were really excited to be a part of this organization that is all these different law schools throughout the country that have veterans clinics. And there's about 37 different schools from Montana to Virginia, with schools in between, including in Chicago. The John Marshall Law School right there in the heart of Chicago has a fantastic veterans clinic. Yeah.
Yes.
They were really, Brent is my friend, and he's nice to call me a pioneer, but the John Marshall's Veterans Clinic is really one of the earliest ones, and just does a tremendous job. And their director is named Elena Duterte, and she is actually an alumni of the John Marshall Law School and learned about veterans in that clinic. And then she went to Syracuse, New York, and got the clinic in Syracuse started. And then John Marshall got her back. So she's traveled throughout the country. But as a group of law schools, we've sort of come together in this thing called the Consortium. And what we do is we found that there's strength in numbers. When all the law schools sort of band together, we're more powerful as a group. So we engage our federal senators and representatives and tell them about legislation that's important to our clients. We do a lot of, we call it amicus briefing in the law, and it's really friend of the court briefing. But if there's a big issue affecting all veterans, and we will step in as a friend of the court and say, hey, this is the position of the National Law School Veterans Clinic Consortium. We think that the court should rule this way. And probably one of the more significant decisions that we just got that Professor Brent Filbert was involved with was for Blue Water Navy veterans. I don't know how many of your listeners may be familiar with that term, but certainly anybody who served in the Navy and in Vietnam may know that, unfortunately, for Navy veterans for a long time, they were not receiving benefits if they had Agent Orange-related diseases.
Yeah, we've talked about that before.
Yeah, and it's just really unfair and also contrary to law and contrary to science. So Brent, as a professor, along with some students in our clinic, wrote a really good brief saying, hey, here's what needs to happen. Blue Water Navy veterans need to be treated like other veterans, and this is the position of the National Law School Veterans Clinic Consortium. So that was really
That's
an
a major
important
achievement.
decision. Yeah, well, and there were a lot of really good lawyers throughout the country involved in it. But it was really, I thought, impactful for the law schools to come together as a group and tell the court, hey, this is what we see in our cases. This is our analysis of the scientific studies. This is our analysis of the law, and this is why you need to change the law. Plus, it's a great experience for students, right? If you're a law student, sometimes it's pretty darn boring to sit in class and go through lecture or do the Socratic method or, be in a big lecture hall. But if you're actually working on a brief that's going to get filed in a real court on behalf of real people, and you can put that on your resume, it's pretty impactful.
And certainly it is, and particularly when it accomplishes something like that's as important as that. That's great. Yeah.
Yep. That was a lot of fun. So right now, the consortium, we've got a few other amicus friend of the court briefs that we're working on, but sort of an exciting project that we've started recently it's called National Case Rounds. So it's everybody's doing Zoom nowadays. And what we do is we get on a Zoom call and we let our students they might talk to a professor in Montana about a particular case they have because that professor has a special expertise in the area. So I think our first one, our first one was in March, and we tackled the issue of military sexual trauma, which is a very difficult claim, and it's hard for the veteran who has experienced that. It's hard for a student to help a veteran like that because it's such sensitive, very, very sensitive information that you have to learn and present. And VA, according to the Inspector General, usually gets the adjudication wrong 50% of the time in those cases.
50%, wow.
50%, according to the Inspector General's report, which is really unfortunate because it's so hard for the veteran in the first place, right?
Sure.
To even talk about it. And then to have their claim denied and then to have to go through it again, it's just, it's a very difficult circumstance. So we offered this opportunity to students in our member clinics, that, hey, if you have a military sexual trauma case and you want to talk about it, here's a few professors who are really expertised in this area and can help you through it and give you some hints. And it's just a great way of working collaboratively together. Again, allowing students the opportunity to help our nation's veterans and talk to people who can really advance the ball in their cases.
That means
That's
so
a
much.
pretty exciting thing, yeah.
Yeah, that means so much
We're really
because
excited about that.
right. How are we doing with that?
Well, we have done.
Yeah.
We've done 3 national case rounds already. We did the military sexual trauma,
Right.
and we have done discharge upgrades. Actually, Professor Brent Filbert is an expert in that area, and he handled that national case rounds. I think he had 3 students from 3 different parts of the country reach out to him and present their cases. And then we also did a national case round on character of discharge determinations that VA does, which sounds like I'm getting in the weeds with you guys when I talk about that. It's an important thing. You know, everybody knows about the DD-214, right?
Yes, that's
Oh,
right.
yes, right. Yeah.
If the DD-214 has something in the box that says other than honorable, that's a real problem when the veteran wants to get his or her benefits.
Yeah.
That's
And our
right.
students struggle with that all of the time because actually veterans under the law there's a way to get benefits even if you have other than honorable. So we did a whole segment on that.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
yeah, those are some of the topics that we cover. We'll probably, as the year goes on, we need to get into burn pits a little bit more. There's so many very difficult respiratory issues that our veterans face if they served in the Gulf War or Afghanistan because of the climate and the burn pits. And it's sort of like Agent Orange in terms of, it took the government forever to understand that there's a long list of diseases associated with Agent Orange. And I think the government's in that learning process right now with Gulf War issues and burn pit issues. So
Yeah, and they had a lot of burn pits in Iraq as well. That was just just a really nasty environment to be in. But but how do people come to your clinic? How do they how do you engage them to get involved in the services that you offer? And I know this is a consortium, so how does that usually run?
Well, anytime you want me to stop talking, Brent, let me know. But,
you're doing a great job. It's it's nice to have somebody else talk instead of me. So go right ahead.
Well, I'll tell you, word of mouth between veterans. There's we get a lot of referrals of friends of clients that we've represented. So we started with a handful of clients, and we call it the friends and family outreach. They'll tell their buddy, who'll tell their buddy, who'll tell their buddy. So as a result, even though we're in Missouri, we have clients in New York, California, Florida. If our client served with somebody, we're probably gonna help their buddy, no matter where they are. So a lot of it is word of mouth. We're in Columbia, Missouri, and the VA Medical Center is actually right by the University of Missouri campus. In fact, there's a tunnel between the VA Medical Center and the University Hospital where there's a lot of collaboration between the university and VA on treatment.
Oh, yes.
So we get a lot of referrals from VA Medical Center. And then, of course, we're in the middle of a major university, and there's plenty of student veterans and student faculty and staff. So
yeah, Brent,
we have no shortage of clients.
Brent, maybe you can tell us a little bit too. I know you're at the University of Missouri School of Law, and Angela as well. But is there what other things do you do? I know you've been focusing on a lot of the medical issues, the respiratory issues, the sexual trauma cases, those kinds of things, Agent Orange. Do you ever get involved with issues surrounding housing, job employment, those kinds of issues as well?
So that's a great question. And one thing I'll say about the consortium is that there are law schools. These are law schools all over the nation, and who serve veterans. And some of the law schools do different things than what we do. And one thing that's really important is that it's all free for veterans. It's all free of charge, pro bono, which is tremendous for them.
That's great.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it really is. And we talk about part of this segment is really focusing on rural veterans. These law schools, several of them are in, really rural states, and that's really the population they serve. So getting back to your question, so we at our clinic really focus on disability benefits and discharge upgrades, but it does directly affect housing, and in particular, because if veterans are disabled but aren't getting any compensation and they can't work, then that keeps them from being able to obtain housing or get employment. So we see a direct connection between what we do in terms of getting the veterans the benefits they need and deserve, and housing. And Angela can tell you what multiple instances of our clients who were homeless or near homeless, and then because they had success, were able to buy a house, get an apartment, really get their life started, and go from being really, on the verge of destitution to really having a productive life. And so that's how we do it. I think other clinics more directly work on housing. Is that right, Angela?
Yeah, absolutely. When we can, getting a client compensation payments directly translates in them getting better housing usually. Occasionally we've had clients where they need housing modifications.
Oh, yes.
If they're in a wheelchair
Disabled.
or they have special needs, we can kind of help them navigate to get to the right program. So a lot of times it's just providing them information about what VA will pay for and what they won't pay for when it comes to certain housing allowances. And then, of course, when a veteran does get a compensation rating, they can apply for vocational rehab. And that's where VA will help retrain them and get them, training in a vocation that will be good for them. And we do find ourselves involved in vocational rehab situations quite a bit.
Yeah, and in the area of PTSD and substance abuse, those kinds of things, those also come up as issues many times with veterans who are struggling with mental health issues, and so I guess you probably get involved with that too, I would imagine.
Well, yeah. In fact, we're one of I don't know if we're the first law school that has this, but we actually have VA will come over to our clinic and offer free mental health consultations for veterans, which is amazing, and also help them get them enrolled in VA, because sometimes if you're a veteran and you were unhappy with your service maybe, or you suffered experiences that now give rise to PTSD, sometimes you just don't want to go through all the crap that you have to go through to get in with VA. It's just like, oh gosh, I don't want to deal with the government and all this paperwork and all that. So we've set up a partnership with VA where they'll actually come over to our offices and meet the veteran here and help them get going into the system, which is really great, because we're as lawyers, we're pretty good at filling out forms and getting people.
I'm sure.
But we're also, when we see somebody, having a hard time with their family, very despondent, not keeping up, I mean, that calls for mental health treatment. And we can't do that, but we can at least get them to the people who will help them with that. So we've been really
listen, we certainly appreciate all you're doing. Doc.
I think we're just about out of time, but I just want to thank,
that's what I was going to say, Dr. Arnold.
Yes. But I want to thank both of you, because this is very, very informative, and maybe just a contact point, if you have, you can say that very quickly. But we're just about to go into a break.
Sure. Well, you can reach us at 573-882. 7630.
Okay, excellent.
We thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right.